That's an important point. I want you to repeat that. The benefits of vaccines far outweigh potential side effects. Tell me more about that.
Absolutely. So side effects happen. I think any honest conversation with your pediatrician is around anything. When we give our kids antibiotics, when we decide to put our kids in the car to go to the store, everything is a risk benefit analysis. And nothing is risk-free, but neither is giving your child amoxicillin for an ear infection.
Mhm.
But when we make these decisions as parents, and I have 7 children of my own, so I am a parent. I'm also been a pediatrician for 30 years. When we make these decisions, everything we do, everything is a risk benefit analysis. And there is no question, we've been vaccinating children in this country for close to 100 years. The risk benefit analysis when it comes to vaccines is that the benefits of childhood vaccines far outweigh the risks.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marks from GoToHealth. I hope you're having a wonderful day. You know, the end of April is National Infant Immunization Week, and it serves as an important reminder for families to review their child's vaccinations and to have proactive discussions with their pediatricians about the advisability of getting your child vaccinated. And this should all happen before the focus shifts to summer plans, travel, and busy fall schedules. Children are exposed to thousands of germs every day through the food they eat, the air they breathe, and the surfaces they touch. But vaccination can help strengthen their natural defenses against serious or even life-threatening diseases that their immune systems may not be able to fight on their own. Vaccinations have prevented approximately 500 million cases of illness and over 1 million cases of death. Our show is all about evidence-based medicine. We have over 300 episodes. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe to us on our website at GoToHealthMedia.com or find us on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify or other podcast networks. And if you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up or a 5-star review. That helps get the word out to more people. Thanks so much in advance. So welcome to the show, Dr. Michael Malafsky. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to partner with GSK to talk about the benefits of childhood immunization.
Good. So this week, April 20th to April 27th, is National Infant Immunization Week, and we want to talk about the importance of immunizing your children at no matter what age. And I've got questions for the doctor here, but I just wanted to point out before we get started, there's a really heartbreaking article in today's New York Times, which is 4/21/26, and it's titled, "Measles Took My Daughter. This is what I want everyone to know." And it's by a mother, Rebecca Archer, whose daughter was unvaccinated. She picked up measles at 5 months old, but then died years later from measles complication, measles encephalitis. It's a really hard story to read, but it's very instructive about the importance of getting vaccinations. So with that behind us, let's talk, doctor. What are the benefits of pediatric vaccination?
So you mentioned this article in the New York Times, which is heart-wrenching. And of course, you're following the story around the country with the rising measles cases across the country. At last count, the CDC has received about 1,700 confirmed reports of measles around the country. And this is a great example of how following and adhering to pediatric vaccine schedules can help protect children from potentially harmful or even deadly vaccine preventable illnesses like measles and whooping cough. In the United States, we've had a unified vaccine schedule for more than 30 years. And by best estimates, we've prevented over 500 million cases of childhood infection and over 1 million child deaths. When we think about diseases from the past, things like diphtheria, polio, and rubella, these used to be common and sometimes deadly and crippling. But because of the effectiveness of our vaccine schedule, when I talk to families now, many of them never even heard of some of these infections.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like we've been we are now a victim of our past success.
Absolutely. I say that all the time.
Yes. So tell us, how do vaccines protect children so people understand that?
Sure. The simplest way to think about it is that vaccines help teach the immune system how to recognize and defend against a specific germ. It helps build protection so that your child's body is prepared if and when they're exposed to a certain disease. And we all know that children are exposed to thousands of germs every day from interaction with other children, from the surfaces they touch, from the air they breathe, from the food that they eat. And it's why I talk to all of my patients about how vaccines help strengthen their defenses against serious or even life-threatening vaccine-preventable illnesses.
Now, what do you say to parents who have questions about vaccine safety? How do you handle this?
I start out by reminding families that the vaccine schedule in this country has been one of the most studied and scrutinized part of our entire healthcare system. That the vaccine schedule is extensively studied for safety and efficacy and is continuously monitored. But, like any medicine or treatment, vaccines can have side effects. For most healthy children, those side effects are things like fever, fatigue, body aches, or redness and soreness at the shot site. For the vast majority of healthy children, the disease prevention benefits of childhood vaccines far outweigh any potential side effects.
That's an important point. I want you to repeat that. The benefits of vaccines far outweigh potential side effects. Tell me more about that.
Absolutely. So side effects happen. I think any honest conversation with your pediatrician is around anything. When we give our kids antibiotics, when we decide to put our kids in the car to go to the store, everything is a risk-benefit analysis. And nothing is risk-free, but neither is giving your child amoxicillin for an ear infection.
Mm-hmm.
But when we make these decisions as parents, and I have 7 children of my own, so I am a parent. I am also been a pediatrician for 30 years. When we make these decisions, everything we do, everything is a risk-benefit analysis. And there is no question, we've been vaccinating children in this country for close to 100 years. The risk-benefit analysis when it comes to vaccines is that the benefits of childhood vaccines far outweigh the risks.
Got it. So I'm going to ask this question, which I know is uncomfortable because it's been raised more recently, unfortunately, in this administration. Do vaccines cause autism? And I just want to state for the record, there was a 1998 study by a guy named Andrew Wakefield that suggested a link between MMR vaccine and autism, but that study was later to be found based on fraudulent data and scientific misconduct, and it was fully retracted in 2010, and his license was revoked. But it still seems like we are living with the rumor that
Yes,
vaccines cause autism. Can you speak more to that?
But yes, but it did trigger one of the deepest and most widespread investigations that we've had in pediatric medicine, which is exploring that link. And it's not hard to find. There are at least 6 studies encompassing more than 1 million children from different parts of the world, and every study showed the exact same thing, that there is zero link between vaccines and autism, and specifically zero link between the MMR vaccine and autism as well.
Got it. And I want to understand, these are based on studies. Tell us what the architecture of a study is so people understand the significance of a study.
Sure. So the architecture of a study is that they take a population that's large enough to be meaningful, meaning studies are meaningful when there's a large enough number of children or individuals in the study to be able to say something meaningful. Mm-hmm. And they compare groups and outcomes. And this was done with this particular question in mind in countries like the United States, in Japan, in Denmark, and once again, encompassed over 1 million children collectively in all of these studies. So there was an enormous amount of data. There was an enormous amount of children to be able to say something conclusive and meaningful. And every single study, no matter where it was done, showed the exact same thing.
Got it. So tell us about the relationship between a pediatrician and a family. How are pediatricians trained to interact with people?
Pediatricians it's one of the more unique, I think, strata of the healthcare system.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest, most relationship-based parts of medicine. I think that most people, when you have a child, especially if you're a new parent, you see your pediatrician more than almost any other adult in your life for like the first year after you have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So we see patients frequently and often. We see them through this long span of their lives. It is a very intensively relationship-based part of medicine. And so it's important that the sensitive questions and topics lean on that relationship. And that's why pediatric visits are opportunities to have honest and empathetic and open conversations with someone who's deeply invested as your pediatrician in the well-being of your child. And as a pediatrician myself, I welcome these opportunities to talk about these questions. They are valuable. They are important times to build rapport and to build trust, especially around a topic that feels very big, like vaccines.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're mentioning this. And I really wanted to emphasize that if you have a question, the pediatrician is the person you can ask. We encourage you to do that. The pediatricians encourage you to do that. Ask those tough questions, especially if you have some vaccine hesitancy. Yes?
Absolutely.
Are-
Absolutely. The conversations are colored more and more though by challenges, especially with misinformation. And that's been a real difficult hurdle for pediatricians to cross.
and what's the source of this misinformation? Is it just people talking to people? Is this online sources? What do we know?
I mean, I think it comes from many places, but the vast majority comes from the internet, and it comes from people who are underinformed and misinformed and have themselves an agenda, but they do that through emotions and storytelling, which are very powerful. And the difficult part of this is that everyone is deeply invested in their children's well-being. So it is a powerful emotional card to play. And it's easy to play on people's fears and anxieties. When it comes to their children, all of us have, I mean, enormous amount of fear and anxiety around the well-being of our children.
Sure. So if you have these questions, a pediatrician is a place to get the information, correct?
I tell families all the time that your first and best resource for questions on this topic, especially immunizations, should be your child's pediatrician.
Good. So how can parents prepare for their child's next doctor's visit? Are there certain things they should do or get in the habit of doing before the next pediatrician visit?
Well, the first is that using those well-checked times, those checkups with your pediatrician as an opportunity to open and have honest and empathetic conversations about your questions around immunizations. You know, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and the American Academy of Pediatrics both endorse and recommend that families and providers adhere to the recommended routine on-time immunization schedule. But it's important to use, if you choose to use online resources, you have to know where you're getting your information. I direct families specifically to the American Academy of Pediatrics website because their information is accessible, it's family friendly, and it's evidence-based. And that's a great place to start to develop and think about the questions that you want to ask, but using those contact times, that face-to-face time with your pediatrician as opportunity to open that conversation. Like I said, I welcome those conversations. They're important. It's also important, though, to share any recent health changes with your child, allergies, or reactions to prior vaccines.
Now, I understand you have quite a large following on Instagram and TikTok, and you also have your own podcast. Tell us more about that so people can follow
Sure.
you if they're interested.
Absolutely. On Instagram, it's Dr. Michael Malopsky. My podcast is called Your Kids Will Be Fine, and it is available anywhere you find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, everywhere else. My TikTok is Dr. Mike M, and my YouTube channel is Dr. Michael Malopsky.
Good. And what do you discuss on Your Kids Will Be Fine?
You know, Your Kids Will Be Fine is really based around the idea that parenting in the 21st century is very different than it's ever been. Parents are exposed to an overwhelming amount of information, and that access to information hasn't always been helpful. In fact, it creates an enormous amount of anxiety. So we talk about the things that are really important and what really matters to parents in a way that's accessible and helps parents, one, cut out the noise and trust themselves more, and help them understand what's really important and what matters when it comes to parenting decisions and choices. We cover everything from, parenting development, medical concerns, questions, the whole spectrum.
Great. Are there any questions that I haven't asked that I should have, or is there a big message you'd like to leave with people today, doctor?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big message, your pediatrician is a trusted, important source, probably the most important source for questions around both immunizations and any topic related to your child's well-being. Pediatricians are deeply invested in the well-being of your child and are there to help you and take advantage of it. That's why they're there.
Good. So remember, if you want more information, the doctor mentioned the American Academy of Pediatrics, and that's aap.org, where you can go to find more information. Also, to help folks on our page On our website where we have this interview, we will also put the vaccine schedule that's recommended so you can download that, and also the article that I mentioned in the New York Times about this mom who lost her daughter to measles because she was not vaccinated. I want to thank you so much for being with us today, Doctor. It's been really helpful.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Good. We've been talking with Dr. Michael Molopsky. He's the founder, owner, and practicing pediatrician at Pediatrics at the Meadows in Castle Rock, Colorado. He's also got a large practice called Chicken Soup. Is that right?
That is correct. Chicken Soup,
Tell us
Pediatric.
about Chicken Soup. I like that name.
One of the biggest frustrations practicing the traditional system is not having enough time to spend with patients. So I started Chicken Soup as a more direct care outside of insurance, so I could really spend more time with families and patients who want to talk and invest in understanding more complex topics around their kids, be able to not be necessarily driven by the insurance system. And we're also, we're launching a large parent platform that if people want to go to my Instagram page for really this precisely same thing, to really help parents with a resource to delve into deep and complicated, important questions that they don't always have the time to talk about or engage with their regular primary care office because of the limitations that are put on them by insurance and volume and things like that. So there's information coming on the Instagram page today about that.
Good. Wonderful. You can find Dr. Molopsky on Instagram, on TikTok, and he's also got the Practical Parenting podcast called Your Kids Will Be Fine. Thanks so much for being with us, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Good. This has been Jonathan Marks with GoToHealth. Remember, you can see all our shows at our website, GoToHealthMedia.com, or you can subscribe to us on YouTube or Apple or Spotify. And if you like what we're doing, which is all about evidence-based medicine, you can leave us a 5-star review or a thumbs up. That helps us get the word out to more people. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you again next time. This has been Jonathan Marks with GoToHealth. God bless. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for tuning in today to GoToHealth. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marks in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show, join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at GoToHealthMedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with GoToHealth.